That's right. You're back tuning in to another week edition of Average Sports with your two average guys, Eric and Ty. What's happening, Eric?
Not much, man. I'm glad to be back. Been on vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Finally back in the swing of things, and I'm ready to go.
Welcome back to that Midwest heat, right?
Oh, my God, yeah. It was so nice out west.
I bet it was. And we're always swinging for the fences here in our average way. Swinging for average. So let's just jump right into it. A little bit of a recap. What's been happening around sports. NCAA football is back, baby. Get excited. My only real take, though, from week one, because everyone pretty much won who you kind of expected. That Michigan-Notre Dame game, that was a toss-up. Notre Dame took that one. They are undefeated on opening games at night. But then going into that Miami loss against LSU, what do you think of that?
Oh, that was so bad. I could only really watch about a half of that football game, although I did have it on for the whole thing. It was brutal, man.
Yeah.
That was so bad. And I know that was one of our picks a couple of weeks ago to potentially maybe be a surprise there. And out of the gates, man, they just threw out a stinker. Now, I mean, if you're going to move forward, at least have a loss early in the season, you can make it up. But that was a bad one. They're going to drop really far.
Yeah, that's too bad. But good for LSU, and we'll keep an eye on it through the rest of the college season. U.S. Open tennis. It seems like almost every month there's another big championship going on, but this is one of the Grand Slams, so I've been taking a look at it. Massive upsets on the women's side, but Serena is still just killing it right now. There's been some good matches, so that's about to conclude next weekend. So that's in the middle of September. And then we're looking at, I wanted to talk about, did you see any baseball games with the Players Weekend uniforms? Check those out.
I did. It was like right at the start of my vacation. And so I did see a couple of the uniforms, and I was digging some of them, man. A little
really
bit bright
cool.
on the colors, and the hats and things like that. So I get into the Players Weekend. I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's a fun, interesting take on what is a rather long, boring, and monotonous season at times. So
yeah, I think it is something good that the league introduces later on in the season, and something kind of fun to see. And I don't watch sports because I want to really take in the uniforms, but when you see this whole week and every team is dressed different, it is kind of eye-catching. It's neat. Did you see any nicknames that stuck out with you?
Honestly, I wasn't able to watch enough of it. What do you got?
So they have a pitcher on the Diamondbacks, Boxberger.
That's right. I did hear about that.
His nickname is an emoji
of a box.
It's
an
just
emoji
a burger.
Of a burger.
I thought it looked great. And then you had a week recap. It sounds like Bell is still MIA. What's he up to on Pittsburgh?
Le'Veon Bell is still MIA from Pittsburgh. So, that's actually quite big news. It's not official yet that Le'Veon Bell will not be participating in week number 1. However, if you are in fantasy or you need a pickup, you need to get out there and grab James Conner. If he is available, you better pick him up right now. Is your handcuff there? And then don't be afraid to put trade offers out there for Le'Veon Bell because he's probably not playing week 1, so you might be able to get him for cheap if someone's panicking.
Interesting take on that. Yeah, we'll see. He's obviously going to start playing pretty soon, but it's amazing that it's this late. I mean, we are at the season, and I wonder if it will have any effect like we saw with maybe Greg Holland with the Cardinals, not getting any spring training. Do you think he'll be affected by this at all?
I think for someone that's still relatively young, he's under 30. He is the best running back in the NFL. And he did this last year, and he proved right out of the gate that he didn't really have too much rust. And he was kind of a late show up, jump right back in.
Yeah.
Going into the actual season, as long as he, is doing what he's doing, it's not like he is a quarterback and he's missing a bunch of stuff. Running back tends to be one of those positions that can be picked up typically pretty easily by players that either switch teams or things like that. They're able to get it pretty quick. So I think he'll be just fine once he jumps back in the lineup.
speaking of jumping right in, and we're talking about the NFL, let's get into our picks of the NFL season because the 2018 year is about to start. It's among us, and I'm pretty excited. How about you, Eric?
Dude, I am so excited.
NFL is one of those sports that I can't stop looking away. Despite all of its conflict and headlines, it's still a fun sport to watch. It's so hard not to check it out.
It's a whole lot of fun to watch, man. And, people want to boycott it by all means, man. That's more time for me to spend with it. So,
okay, that's one way to look at
it.
All right. Opinionated on this one. Well, talking about, our favorites, we're looking at picks for who's making the playoffs, basically, for this season. Who do we like? Who don't we like? So let's jump right into it. How about starting with some of the AFC teams? I'll toss it over to you. What are you thinking?
The AFC teams I got, in the AFC East, it's not going to be anything crazy or out there. I'm going to go ahead and take New England in the East. In the North, I'm taking Pittsburgh. There's no surprise there. And then I think once you get to the AFC South, AFC West, that's where you potentially have some shakeups kind of going on, I think. In those two divisions, you have some quality teams: Jacksonville, Houston, Tennessee, Indianapolis. I think all four of those teams, you could argue that all four of those teams could make the playoffs.
Could you make a case for Indy, though, really?
With Andrew Luck being healthy? Yeah, absolutely,
okay.
I could.
Okay.
Now, if he's not healthy, then I would totally agree. They're garbage.
I think it's going to be...
With a healthy Andrew Luck,
yeah,
they're going to be a competitive team, and you know how the NFL is. If things go their right way, all they need is a couple games, and they can be, 11-5, 12-4. They just need a couple of bounces. Now, do I think that's going to happen for them? No. I think I'm going to end up taking a healthy Houston Texans team.
Okay.
To go ahead and surpass and go ahead and overtake Jacksonville in the AFC South there. And then my bold pick out of the AFC, I have the Chargers.
Okay.
Chargers winning the AFC West.
Wow. LA Chargers. Okay. I could see that happening, though. I think this is that kind of year, and you're not wrong. I think you are a little mistaken on the AFC South. I'm not going to jump onto the Indianapolis train at all. And then the Titans, they made wild card, but I think it's going to be too competitive with Houston and Jacksonville this year, and having to play each other twice in that division. I just don't. I see those two teams, kind of sitting on top of that. Not as level as you put it, but AFC West, yeah, it's kind of anyone's division there. Because don't count the Raiders out. That's my pick for them. So I'll also talk about my AFC teams then real quick. I'm with you on Pittsburgh. I think Baltimore also, show up. They'll win a few games. They'll be in contention, but Pittsburgh's going to take it. And New England, of course, no big surprises. But my bold pick, at least for the AFC East, is that New England's going to have a bit of a down year. They'll make postseason. Sure, they'll probably walk right in. But I think I'm going to call them out in the first round of the playoffs. So for the division game. I think
I like it.
Yeah, I don't think that's too unrealistic because usually after a Super Bowl appearance, they just maybe not make as big of a splash. They could actually lose 3 games this year, heaven forbid. Looking at, though, the AFC West, I think I like Oakland. I think I've already said that. Really, the South, I like Houston as well. So let's go into the NFC, though. I think in all divisions, including the NFC East, as I expect the Giants to make a comeback here.
Yeah, I think the NFC East kind of returns to a little bit more normalcy where you have the Cowboys, Giants, and Eagles very competitive. One of those teams may not have a ton of wins. Some of them may be, 5 or 6 win teams, but they're competitive teams. And then, you're going to have Washington. No offense, they're kind of garbage. So they're definitely still going to be at the bottom.
Well, they have Adrian Peterson. He's going to just destroy the league, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's not Minnesota anymore.
Yeah. Right. Back up to the backup, sure. But I think the NFC East kind of returns to a little bit more normalcy. I think the Cowboys with a full season of Ezekiel Elliott are going to be quite good. I think the Giants return back off of that 2-win season. That's an anomaly, I think, for them. adding Saquon Barkley, I think they're going to take a huge step forward. And Philadelphia is still really good. That defense is awesome. I like the receiving core. I'm not crazy about the running backs. I'm just not sold on Ajayi. But that doesn't mean much because their offensive line is still really good. They're going to be just fine there. In the North, I think that is really just competitive kind of between two teams, Green Bay and Minnesota. I don't know how many people would argue that, although I think Chicago and Detroit are going to be competitive. I don't think they're walkovers.
That's kind of the black ribbon award from you, Eric. They're not going to do so great, but competitive. Yeah. They're going to have to go out each week and compete.
Yeah, but look at Detroit. They're going to be in games. They're able to score points. They're
I
going to
agree.
be in games.
Yeah.
And I think Chicago is a team that's going to be sneakily better than people expect. They have a good running game. Mitchell Trubisky, if he continues to progress, he's able to take that next step. I think, Chicago can get to 6 or 7 wins potentially. Are they a playoff team? No. But I think they might surprise a few people with a few wins. NFC South and NFC West, I think these are your competitive divisions.
Oh, yeah.
Throw Tampa Bay out, I think they're garbage, especially without Jameis Winston.
That one I
think
agree.
They're very much
they might be the biggest loser of the year, right?
They may win 2-3 games. Yeah, I don't have very many wins for them at all. Atlanta, New Orleans, Carolina, any of those 3 teams could win the division, and I don't know too many people that could argue against that. I think all 3 of those teams are very good and could all win the division.
Who do you like,
NFC
though?
West.
Make a pick out of the South.
If I'm going to make a pick out of the South, I'm going to go New Orleans.
Okay.
I'm going to stick with Drew Brees. I think that
Brees and Kamara,
are going to have positive.
They look good.
A positive regression for New Orleans. With Drew Brees, he had a down year last year. I think that was an anomaly. I think he's going to have a positive regression. A lot more touchdowns than what he had. I think Alvin Kamara stepping forward is really going to be a good thing. They signed Mike Gillislee, especially to be the backup for those first 4 weeks while Ingram's out. They're going to be just fine. I think New Orleans is going to win the NFC South. And in the West, I'm going to make a bold pick here. It's kind of a bandwagon-y pick, but I'm going to take the San Francisco 49ers to win the West.
I thought you might say that. And I'm kind of there with you, too. I like them for a wild card team, not the division winners. I think that's still going to go to L.A. myself. Arizona might be a 500 team.
Rams.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all for the Rams. San Francisco can definitely be a contender for the wild card. And then the Seahawks, unfortunately, this one might be a 5 or 6 win year for them. They could have a losing record easily.
I think they're taking a huge
That's just been their trend. Yeah, it seems that way. So for the South, for me, I like Atlanta this year. Yes, you're not wrong that New Orleans are going to be out there. So I think the Falcons and the Saints can be the going back and forth, and it might come down to that final week of the season where one team's going to win the division, the other is going to wild card. But again, I like Atlanta. Then the Vikings again out of the North. Green Bay looks like they can, stay at the top this year, but I'm not really counting out Detroit, even though they historically, of course, don't make the playoffs. They might cause some troubles and bring a couple of L's into the other teams in that division. And for the East, well, I guess I'm just going to stay Eagles. So really the popular teams from last year kind of still look good to me, but also I like the Giants. That is a bold pick for the division wildcard, second wildcard spot. So there you go. And for looking toward the end of the season with the NFL, let's go into our Who You Got segment of the episode. And who do you got, Eric, for a team that you think is most likely to make the Super Bowl? I'm not saying Super Bowl winner, just pick a team you like to be in the Super Bowl.
I'm going to have to stick in the AFC, and I'm going to go Pittsburgh. They're very, very talented. Le'Veon Bell's not there. We talked about it, but I got Pittsburgh. Going to the Super Bowl, a much easier route than trying to tread through that NFC in the playoffs, that's for sure.
Okay. You want to hear a quick side bold pick right now that you just reminded me of? Week 1, Pittsburgh is playing Cleveland. So this kind of goes into our best matchups. I think that is going to be an entertaining game for whatever reason. And they are going to Cleveland, if memory serves me correct. The Browns always seem to give the Steelers fits. I'm calling week 1. The Steelers are not going to win their first week. They're still going to have a good year, but they're not going to win.
You're calling for an
I'm giving
upset.
Browns
You're calling for
one of those
Bud Light
games.
Coolers to unlock.
Those
week
Bud
1
Light coolers
in
are
Cleveland.
unlocking week 1. Everyone's going to be real excited.